Yeah. Let's see. Is this... Oh, it is a correct screen. Nice. What's up, y'all? Does it work? Oh, it works. Nice. Oh. All right. Let's just get to it, shall we? There's a share a quote story where, as a reader, I want to share a quote that made me chuckle so that I can share the chuckles with my colleagues. It's something that we've sort of already got working. But it shouldn't contain the identifier of the quote itself. So currently we're just sharing that quote itself. Noticing that we're not presentation mode. I think. Oh, not available while updating indexes. It's unfortunate. But I can already show what we've got in this place over here with the end-to-end test. Not even. I can't open anything on my. Yeah. Still nothing. Oh, it's updating indexes, but there's nothing. I can see anything, so I guess I'm gonna restart. Fucking hell. Force quit. Jesus. Right. This is not the project I was looking for. This one is. Let's try running a test this time. Ah, voilà. Oei, wrong buttons. Oei, everything is broken. Docker is not running probably. Yeah. School, hè? Today we're drinking Carmelite. Delicious. Try again. Oh. It should be up and running. Oh, what's going on? The thing I did last time though was I removed the web MVC thing. Maybe there's already okay. This is something to do with my quote repository, my double definition of quote repositories, because somewhere in here probably, let's see, we've got a share provider config that I don't really care about, but this one is gonna start looking in KunlaQuota res or something, eh? Or it will be this one. Anyway, one of these configs is probably triggering the scanning of another bean. That's also a code repository, and I only want the single one. We can see that where. So it's JDBC template config. This one is being loaded, and this one contains the regular JDBC template, and the one we want is this one, the JDBC operations one. So how do we exclude that one from loading? Can we just try that? Exclude or something. Is there such a thing? Exclude. Not here at least. Maybe here. Exclude. Ugh. Already have to Google how to exclude print configs at test runtime. It's not very readable, I can imagine. It's auto configuration. We could try defining it as a primary bean then, I guess. But where do we actually define it in this configuration? Is it in here then? How come it worked before, in fact? Because Spring Boot test lives over here. Maybe it was just luck. I think it's weird that that one got scanned, huh? What the hell? Maybe it's auto configuration doing its thing. Because I cannot really explain how we're getting these JDBC operations here to begin with. I expected that I had to define the which config is that? The data config. And then I guess we'll also measure. Let's see what this does, huh? Oh, also broken. Why this time though? Yeah. I get nothing. Well, a whole lot, but nothing that makes sense. Application failure threshold exceeded. What's the failure? Who am I? And that's after I added these. So what's in service config that or in data for that matter? This just defines the configuration. Yeah, and I'm overriding this one and sort of, I guess. So what magic is this again? Fucking hell. Yeah, and web config we're also not even loading in. Ooh. So if I go here and I make this one the primary, maybe that'll just work too then. No. And then maybe what I'll do, live in test though, that's the thing I hate about it. Hello. Watch me struggle against Spring again. Last time I got it working, I don't know if you remember, but there was this weird part in the what was it again? The web config. Oh, I have to sneeze real loud. And I wasn't on time to mute it. Sorry. We had an add web MVC or add enable web MVC annotation over here, and apparently if you do that, you basically tell Spring Boot, don't worry, I know how to configure Spring Web. This time I was on time. And because you do that, you get a wrong, or probably a wrong object mapper wired in that never gets used in your actual serialization. Oh my. School, hè. And because you do, you know, that's when I had to inject the object mapper over here and then hard-codedly use it. And that we got fixed. Oh yeah, that's very important to mention. So last Friday I got this demo on 3 different ways of doing JPA and JDBC and Spring Data JDBC implementations of code repositories. And while I was explaining the JPA part to the group, someone was like, yeah, actually, you don't need to have this bidirectional relation if you just set the join column as an annotation instead of as an attribute. So here, mobbed by, that would be the join column. But when you do mobbed by, you have to refer a property on this class and not an actual column name. So they told me you can just do add join column, and then that just works. And lo and behold, it does. So now my Hibernate implementation is a bit simpler. And yeah, now we no longer need this partial record stuff to first create the quote record so that we can then create the quote line records with, apply them, and then only save the quote record. So probably we can get rid of most of this code here, in fact, which is great. But I haven't done that yet, so that's a to-do. But before, I wanted to run the end-to-end test, and this one is now breaking for some reason. And it looks like the reason why it was breaking is because since I've now added multiple implementations of repositories, those multiple implementations get scanned by Spring Boot or something. And it's the Spring Boot startup is now complaining, like, I found multiple implementations of your repository interface. Please only pick one. Maybe what I could do, because it's probably just because of the stupid name. So if I go to this one, here it's code repository. If I just rename this code repository JPA. And I'll do the same with the JDBC one. Change my mind. I don't want all caps. Maybe this will just fix it. We'll see. I hope. Shit. I guess the next thing is try naming them. Qualifier. Let's go to the other one in this one. This one's JDBC, and then finally we want to go to the real one in here. And then this can be qualifier quote repository, just like we want. Oh yeah, and then I'll have to define that I want to use this one. But I guess, where is that? It will be in service. So this one needs to be qualified then. Ah, wait. Probably not using the right. It's not. What the fuck? Okay, how do you do that again? I've got this in code that I work on, so so we've got qualifier, and then how do you use it? yeah. So in the bean, that's where you define the name. So on here, you do add qualifier. Analyzer. So, and then in your, where is it? Over here, it's not qualifier, but you just define the name. Like so. Very interesting. And then the same in JPA. Voila. Fuck. So somehow this configuration gets scanned, and I don't want it to be. It gets scanned when the end-to-end test is being run. And I don't understand why. Because it lives in a completely different package? Yeah. Balls! This is not what I want to be doing, fucking hell. I forgot I hated spring. Yeah. I mean, it's just like last time when you forgot you hated hibernate. Yeah, 8. Fucking hell, Last time, Ole, I've done a project with Gator, and it's interesting and simple. Okay, there's a little bit of magic involved when you use the plugins, and you need to know which ones to use, in fact, but the documentation is quite great. But then you'll need to answer the how do you do service injection or like constructor injection with Gator. And the simplest answer is, yeah, allez, the most common answer I guess is use coin or like another injection framework that does it for you. But typically those use allez, what's it called again? It's a lookup pattern. It doesn't do injection, so I'm not a fan of that. And then the alternative is use context receivers. Yeah, you don't really need a framework. It's just the thing that solves the constructor chain. That's it. Yeah, cake. No, I guess define hard. If you've got layered architecture, your nested class needs something or something, and then this is true. Yeah, that's why I like the context receivers, context parameters, I think they call it now, from Kotlin. You can just define this function even can only be executed within the context of, and then the compiler forces you to be in that context, otherwise it doesn't even compile. So that's basically what you get when you try to use constructor injection. Huh? Yeah, you'll have to declare your dependencies, otherwise it simply won't work. Ma, we're in Spring Boot land today, I'm afraid. I guess what I could also do is just delete these because they were there for, what's it called? Demo purposes. But then before we do, I'm going to revert all of this. Excuse me. All of it. Revert all the things and then make sure that the JPA thing is working as it should be. So with the best, what's it called? The most ideal solution, let's say, huh? Okay, voila. So that's working again. Close all of these things. Then what I want to go back to is, it's actually in here, nee? Oh, nee. There's a production implementation. Where is it? It's this one. So let's try doing this, huh? To do cleanup. Okay, so what I want it to look like is something like this, where I say quote DAO.save and then the quote record. Maybe I should write it next to this one, the existing one. Something like this, huh? So this we can remain. This we're going to fix. I want to go like to record again. And then I just want to save that. So just like this. And then whatever comes out, I want to return it. So that means we'll have to implement the .toRecord thing. These we don't need. And then let's build a next one next to this one. So let's call it toRecord. And here I expect to be able to just enter the lines equals. So we've got lines, map them all. Who am I? Equals to record. Ah yeah, and now we don't need this one anymore. We only need the ID. And that one we do have, I think. Yeah? Voila. Ah yeah, so lines is not a property anymore. Oh yeah, not yet. Make it a val. Oei. Oh, it's the map is not a set, of course. Like that. So this one I can remove. This is the stuff we'll remove anyway. So let's try returning store to this quote. Oh, we don't need return. Voila, and then we run the test again. I'll get her to come say hello. Voila, it's green. Then we can inline and remove the function. That's nice, huh? now it just works as you'd expect it to work. That's really nice. Well, so this is the part that we spent 1.5 hours trying to find how to make it work last time. And then it didn't. So yeah, voila. And so this is cleaned up the JPA implementations. I guess I'll tag it too. Finished JPA, or maybe just repository comparison. Voila, and then we can just delete all of this nonsense, huh? Oh yeah, that's gonna be great. And then also out of the source, if there is anything there, which there is, these, just delete them too. Oh yeah. Now we can run the tests again, and they should all be green. Will you look at that? Removed other implementations because they were in the way. Voila, this is how you do that. Just remove the non-compiling things. Okay, so what I wanted to do really in this rest test over here, when you run them, actually you can't really see it here because the implementation uses a fixed thing, but we will make it deterministic anyway. So eventually what I can try and do is let's make it a little bit more explicit. Do we have that over here? Yeah. Huh? So this QuoteShare provider is a subtracting, and it always returns this specific one. What we can do instead is make this. That's not very useful neither. Okay, I'm just gonna go to the QuoteShare provider implementation that I want to fix. Do we have that in it? Oh no, because it's a type alias, you can't really discover implementations. It's a bit annoying, eh? Let's go to the service config. Voila. So this is the one I want to change. And to do that, we're just gonna build a different QuoteShare provider. Where does that live? In the domain. So guess what? Inside of the domain, we'll write a new Kotlin class or test for the encoded or hashed or something. I forgot what's a good name for it. So a hashed QuoteShare provider, something like that. This thing can implement, I think at least you can do that. You can say it implements a QuoteShare provider. You see? So this invoke is supposed to transform a quote ID into a QuoteShare somehow. So we can just return a to-do or something. And then for this we'll create a test. Hello. Command Shift T'ing, but nothing's happening. Megan. Jan says hi. With a hi back. It's a hi. En een school. Okay. What? Secondary constructor? No, dude. Oh. Oh, wait. Okay. I see what went wrong here. This is why I couldn't Command Shift T. Let's move it to the production code and then try doing this thing again. So if you go there, voilà, that works better. So what can we try? So creates a share, a quote share based on the first 8 characters of the quote ID. Something like that. That's what I want to do. So if you got the private val hashed, no. This one. And we pass along a quote ID to it. So let's make this thing a local variable. We'll tell the thing it's a quote ID in fact. And then we just do quote ID new. Or we can do from string. Then we've got a fixed one. Oh, this is always annoying, eh? So I want a random UUID. Here's that. So this is the thing I want. Oei. Need the full one now. Bam. Puzzle. Are data classes working with Hibernate? They should be open, right? But they aren't. In Kotlin, they aren't by default, unlike Java. This is correct. Let's revert, or let's first shelve this or something. Shelve changes. And then we'll remove or undo this commit over here. Or we can go to this commit, I guess. I'll make it more clear. So indeed, actually, this reminds me that I haven't cleaned up all the things I wanted to clean up. So, correct. So data classes or any class in Kotlin by default is final. If you don't want it to be final, you'll have to declare them as open. So you'll have to write open data class, blah, blah, blah. Then it will work. However, typically you don't want that to be open, huh? Because you don't want you want the safety of Kotlin's defaults, so that all of the classes are final by default. But a way to work around that is there are compiler plugins, and you can configure them like so. So here we're telling Gradle, by the way, please, when you're compiling, use the plugin.jpa Kotlin plugin. So when you're compiling, what this thing will do is it will create, or it will transform your data classes or your entities, in fact, because that's what it will be scanning for. So all of the classes in your code base that have a Hibernate or JPA annotation, it'll do its magic with. So, and the magic is just make it an open data class. So that way, at runtime, so that's after the compiler has done its job, at runtime, it will have an open class and also a public default constructor, meaning no fields, so that JPA can do its reflection work. So that's what this compiler plugin does. And the Spring one does a similar thing, but I think it does less. So it doesn't provide default empty constructors. It just makes your classes open. And then which classes? Typically all of the typical Spring annotations, like add component, add service, add repository, stuff like that. So that's how these compiler plugins, in combination with you just writing regular Kotlin, still works with those frameworks. That's how that works. It's a bit funky, yeah. So if you don't add those plugins, you'll run into some issues. Very welcome, yeah. So I can clean up that one because I no longer have JPA implementation. That's great. Huh? I think I'll do an amend commit. I hope I haven't. Oh, I think I might have pushed already. Oh, I haven't pushed yet. Right, let's keep it that way. And then I can go to the shelf and this I don't know the shortcut for. Command Shift U. Okay. Okay. Voila. So we were over here trying to write a test for the hashed QuoteShare provider. We've got a fixed UUID. So I'm not really sure what the output is going to be. So let's call it actual, and then we'll assert that actual dot is equal to something like this. But then what I don't want is I don't want numbers. I think we said we only want letters. Oh damn, I forgot. Totally forgot what we said. So the idea was this is basically hex, like a hexadecimal string, and I wanted it to just transform it into a regular string, or maybe a number then a number becomes longer, and then maybe we can turn it into what's that, like base 60, base 26, something like that. It's difficult to turn this into a test, huh? I guess what we can also do is write like a sub function for our subtest for it, where we transform just this into can encode or hash. Still choosing between the name. Can hash first. What is that? 8 characters of UUID into a string. I hope should be okay. Ne? So let's do just imagine that there's a hash function that returns a string. This is the input it gets. What do we expect to come out? Difficult to imagine, huh? Input. Can we maybe just turn it into a parse it as a hex or something? Parse. Too long. I'm not sure, but it'll turn it into a not valid representation of a number, I'm afraid. Oh, hex too long. This is sort of what I want. Oh yeah, maybe unsigned long. It's going to be more interesting, huh? And what's the format? What does that thing do? Note that only a hex format, number hex format affects parsing, and parsing is performed in case insensitive. That's okay, yeah? So we can only use number hex format. So maybe we'll need to add a hex format. Number hex format. What does this thing do? represents hexadecimal format options for formatting and parsing. A prefix string. Maybe I just want to try it out and see what happens. Hup. So this is a long, and then this one we can do to string on. Nee? Oh, okay, let's do opt-in. The hell? Alright, so there's hex format, there's default. Ah, wacht. Let's just try default. See what this thing does. Should be experimenting with the REPL instead of running tests. Ah, voila. There's a real number coming out. Is that what we expect? It's difficult to think about it. Wacht, let's just take a normal number. Maybe inline it. It becomes a bit more readable. Let's say that we've got this. Well, I guess we expect that to come out. Now I have to put it at the top. Oh, nee. Then I don't think that the hex to ulong is doing what I think it does. Ooh. Don't know why I thought that would be different. What other forms do we have? It's hex. Ah, here. There's number hex format.default. Yeah, and then that thing is, of course, not a hex format. Okay, the thing I want is something like what? What is the easy? So I guess this sort of makes sense that it should still just output that. Does it make sense though? I guess it doesn't. It doesn't make sense that it's the same output. Maybe this would make sense though. Yeah. Okay, and then what else makes sense? So if I've got an A, that should be, what is that, 10, I think? Yeah. And then B is 11. Yeah. Etc, etc. So it does make sense. So I cannot just do a 1, 2, 3, blah, allez. Because that is considered to be a number, and then that number is not, of course, what it's supposed to be. In it just doesn't translate 1 to 1. That's what I was trying to say. So that means that whatever comes out of this test right here is correct. But now what I want is that this should become only letters. So I wonder if we can do like a transformation on that. This was like one of those Code Wars exercises I did in the past. I vaguely remember. Can hash first characters. Yeah, this is what I want. But so this is the part in between. So this is hash to number, or hex to number. And then hex, well, actually number to, yeah, do I want to say string or like alphabet or something like that? I don't know. Also takes in a string. Let's just return the input for now. And then ideally I want to check how this thing comes out. It should be all uppercase. And I think we can make a bit easier if we go like this. So 1, or it depends. Yeah, 0 should be A. And then 2 should, or 1 should be B, etc. And then 26 then I think, should be Z or Z, I don't know how you pronounce it. But if we can already get these 4 ones, or these first 3 tests to work, I'll be a happy man. So then 27 might be the trickiest one. This then becomes ZA, I think? Or is it AZ? I think it has to be AZ, yeah? Or what the fuck? How do you no, it needs to be Z and then A. Because this is like the decimal point, I guess, and then or not decimal point, how do you even say that? Tientallen. But then in this case the 26-tallen, Allee. I guess we could oh, there should be like a function for this. There's like a, let's do it to long, and then there is a, oh wait, there was already something. Radix, what is this thing again? What the heck? Radix. I think we want this to be 26. And then this produces one number, and with this number we should continuously do like a lookup in a table, something like that. Oh, a table, a lookup in a map or something. Wacht, where do we put that? We can do it index, I guess. Let's call it alphabet. A.z. Toch? And then we say alphabet. Go fetch me the one with this. Do int. Then I guess we can just do immediately dot do int. Oh, that's interesting. Because this is a char range, and I guess I wanted to list or something. Okay. All right, let's see where we get. Oei, 58 out of... Yeah, maar ja, where do we... It's over here. The 26. Is it because it's zero based and I'm an idiot? Yeah. For a length 26. Yeah. I guess this one is okay. Oei. Man, it's been a while since I've done this stuff. Fucking hell. So I think this is correct. I'm not really sure. Maybe we do a ChatGPT request. z corresponding to 25 and go to base 26. Ah yeah, of course you can just do it like that too. Then you just have a string. But then what? Ah, and then they reverse it. Let's see if this works. So that's basically my number to string function, eh? And then I can just say return, go to base 26, input too long. Oh yeah, it's doing a lowercase. Let's make it uppercase then. And then I was incorrect with this. Ah yeah, because you want the letter representation of the 20s, so to speak. So it will be BA. Oh my Jesus. So here we go. This is what our thing would look like. And can we then also reverse it? Or what would the decode function look like? And then it's just multiplication, of course. Cool, cool, cool. Voila. So alphabet can just turn into this thing here. We don't have to build a list for that. I think we can do alphabet.length too, huh? Let's see if that still works. Yep. Okay, and then we'll make this one look similar, I guess. This would be alphabet.length again. Okay. Here's our implementation, young. So this one I don't... Wait, I do care about that one, huh? Because that one will turn the hex into a number, which then gets turned into this thing. Do we even need to decode? I don't think we even need to decode, because what we're doing is we're just saving these as shared IDs. So I guess in general, we've got like the first 8 characters of a UUID that we then turn into how many? this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can just see. We cannot see selection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Instead of the 8 that we get. So I don't really know if it's consistently 10. Maybe if it's all Fs. What do you get then? It's also 10. And then this 10 will turn into how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 again. So we go from 8 to 7 as a uniqueness. I guess that's quite okay, huh? Toch? Yeah, it's fine. Okay, cool. Let's move it to production code, I would say, and then we've got our implementation of a hashed QuoteShare provider. So then what I want to do, here's the example. This should come out as this thing. That should be the expected result. That's what I want to do. Makes sense? Let's go. Cool. So these, I guess we'll just copy the decode even though we don't need it yet. Over to here. Oh, I'll need to include the alphabet, huh? So these I'll just remove. I'll put the alphabet at the top of this one. Make it private. And then what I want to do is I want to do quote ID first. Take. Fucking hell, toString. First, take 8. So that's just the first 8 characters. These we want hexed to number. We have a function for that, huh? That's this one. And then this one we want to do number to string on, but basically it's encode to base 26. So this one needs to be turned into a long. Oh no, we'll do the too long inside of the encode to base 26. So that's that one. Is that correct? No, it's not correct. Too long. Voila. And this thing returns a string, which we then need to turn into a QuoteShare. So we'll do QuoteShare just like that. And then we can just remove a bunch of stuff. Make it private. This one too. Ella. It's not jumping anymore to the. So the decode we don't need. See if that works. Ooh, it doesn't. I miss? So if we've got this one, this quote ID, and I do quote ID dot take, this is hex to number, eh? Quote ID. Ugh. Quote ID dot to string. Ah, that's gonna be it. I want the value. Yeah. Never mind. Value instead of doing the to string. Yeah, there we go. Ah, yeah, it needs to be a QuoteShare. QuoteShare. Voila. Okay. And then these we can drop again. Paf. And go. Voila. So this is what I want. And now we already always get a specific or a guessable QuoteShare. That's much nicer, huh? Is there still some cleanup to be done here? Ah yeah, all of this crap. I hate the nesting of fucking hell. So this is the quote ID's first 8 characters of quote ID. Of course, here we do depend on the fact that a quote ID is a UUID. Yeah? The moment it's not, we'll be in trouble. But our test will fail, so should be okay. And now I'm just gonna turn all of these into receiver functions. Because then we can just chain them all. This can be a number, sure. And then for this, we'll say we'll turn it into a QuoteShare. So as QuoteShare, and then make this receiver function too. This is a function as QuoteShare. This one will turn into a receiver function. Voila, and then we inline this thing again. And then we can inline this part too. And then it becomes an expression body where we say first take the first 8, turn the hex into a number, turn it into a long, and code that one to base 26, and then turn that thing into an S QuoteShare. Looks good. There's some thing there that we can do. No, on this one, I guess we could, if we tried very hard. String builder is a bit nasty, but I guess it's fine. Alright. Looks good. Now let's hook it in. So we'll use a hashed QuoteShare provider. Yeah. The trick, of course, is in our end-to-end test, we won't be able to see the actual result. Because quote IDs get generated when you... Ah, wacht, nee. That's of course the cool thing. Now we can inject this one. Oh yeah. Right, so let's add auto wire. This one. Which doesn't exist yet, I guess. And then we can just use that one to check the expected QuoteShare ID. Where is the share? A code can be shared with an easily shareable HTTP link. So this one now should use the new location.last segment. That's a quote ID that we're getting. Let's change them both. Quote ID. And now we can just say this is the expected QuoteShare ID, right? So this is both of them expected QuoteShare ID. And then we can just use this one and say pass along the quote ID to it. And then instead of expected QuoteShare ID here, I guess what I want is the value of that one. So if I run it, it will fail because our hashed QuoteShare provider is not being injected because this one is being used. So I'll remove that one. That means I can remove this thing too. But then I'll have to make sure that this one gets wired in our service config. Where is the QuoteShare provider? This one equals this one, Melissa. And then we'll run our end-to-end test again. And then it should magically succeed. I hope. Will you look at that? Cooler? Do you remember vaguely that there was like another spot where we were using that dummy QuoteShare provider in one of the tests, but I forgot where it was already. Maybe in Code's test. Yeah, so here there's a subtracting QuoteShare provider as a sort of a fake to have like a deterministic QuoteShare provider. Fixed. No. I think we could use the real one in here instead of this one. And then I think what we can do is we can just run the test and then assume that it works. I mean that it's the correct one because we know already that it's deterministic. Oui. Why is it? Ah, okay. Yeah, we're not defining the ID. That sort of makes sense, of course. No. Maybe what we should do then is call the shared QuoteShare provider. Oh, it's still called the subtracting provider. So the QuoteShare provider. We'll call this one using the quote ID. Yeah, and then this is not really saying a lot. We don't see the real result, but it's just because we cannot choose what the ID is for this single line quote, because it always gets generated. Maybe what I could do here that might be better, in fact, because then I don't have to call the QuoteShare provider, is to make this a like, what's it called, configurable parameter. So this would be the quote ID. That's not what I wanted to do. We'll call it quote ID. It should be introduce default value. Yeah, that's what I want. And then I want to change the order a bit so that it makes sense at the top. And this right here could be a quote ID, because that's the alias. But sometimes Delgy is not working along with that part. So now we've made quote ID configurable, just like we did here. In fact, it's a bit silly that we didn't do it for a single line quote. Great. So then we can just define the ID over here. Let's just generate a new one. So with ID quote, equals quote ID from string. Oei. So. Yeah, and then that doesn't work because it's called quote ID, of course. So, and then this is the fixed quote ID. And now we can actually just run it. So this can become a QuoteShare ID of snarf. And we don't care. Well, we're just fixing it anyway because, again, it's deterministic. Voila. So this doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we're saving the single line quote and then getting its ID, but it should be this one anyway. So let's call this thing quote ID1, sure, and then we will remove this part, just call this quote ID, get rid of that stuff like that, and now we should be Gucci. Toch? Yeah. Great. Okay, this looks much better. I bet this will mess up our API HTTP though. So let's go to deploy locally our KunlaQuota application. And then we'll go to our API.htp file where we can post a new quote. Boink. I wonder how that works. works actually. And then we'll do a get. And this get, you see now the dates are correct. So we are using the default value. So this is good. This is good. I want this ID to be shared. So instead of the one that we had before, I want to share this one. And then we get in return the ISWSDPG. Voila. Much better, eh? Cool. All right, that's great. I will commit this. So this is introduced a hashed QuoteShare provider that takes the first 8 characters of a quote ID, turns those into its hex long, turns that into its base 26 uppercase character string. Uppercase string. Yep. Okay. Good enough, young. Let's push all the things. We did it. Cool. All right. I wish y'all a good one. This Friday afternoon, there's a 4-hour time slot where we can work on this application, basically, where I'll go around and help out people that need help. But the goal is that everybody in the group finishes the last, this story, basically, the one that we just finished, in fact. Where is it? This one. So we'll try to finish, everybody should try to finish this story, and then we'll do a session where everybody talks on what they encountered, how they solved sharing or generating that identifier, etc., etc., and then we'll have a grand old time. And then the next one is to be able to read those shared codes. So I guess that's what we will pick up somewhere next week, probably. To be able to read a shared quote. As a reader, I want to read a quote that was shared with me so that I can juggle with the quote that was shared with me. So it got this reference, and then this thing is just returned. So not only should we be able to find quotes based on the normal ID like we're doing. Where is that? Yeah, I guess here. But we also should be able to go. Should look like something like that. Read shared quote, and then it should, I don't know, something like that. Share equals this thing. That's what I expect to just work. Maybe even, I'm not really sure about it, maybe something like this too. But then I like the fact that there's like a question mark share in there. Oh, and it should be a get, of course. And the gets don't need the content type. Something like that. Now that I'm typing this, there's also the stream.md we figured this out, and then this is the next point we want to achieve.